Maybe. Oh, okay. Can I be? No. Yeah, maybe. No, I'll stand like this. I just want to check how many we are today. We are like 40 maybe. Something like that. Okay. Welcome to another week then. And this is JavaScript week. So we're going to do JavaScript today and on Friday. We're going to stick with the browser today. So for that today. And on Friday there will be server-side Node.js. How many of you have started with section 04, the Friday assignment? 1, 2, okay. The Friday work, what's this? Let's see. The things we should do on Friday, that is all out there. So we have the section 4 that is updated with server-side JavaScript, Node, something about that. We'll sort of install the Node and NPM programs. We'll build a small website using Node.js Express, and we'll code in embedded JavaScript, AJAX. It's a templating system to build up sort of the HTML pages. So that is out there, and the assignment is also out there for Friday then. So that is all there. Right. Oh, maybe I should format that. Okay, whatever. I'll do it later. For this day's work, so we're going to we're going to basically have a quick look at JavaScript core programming language. So just to start up with the basic foundation. So how a variable look like, and the data types, the global objects, array, creating my own object looking like something, object orientation, reviewing how a function could be defined in JavaScript. There are various ways of doing it. So just to get acquainted with the JavaScript core language. And that's what we'll do this now. I got to do a slide. And after that, I think we're going to have a lunch. And then I'll show you some small sample programs. And I will give you the JavaScript assignment also. So it's not out there yet. So you'll get the this assignment 03. You'll get that after lunch directly. It's a small coding exercise where you just show off that you both can program JavaScript, do fetch, so asynchronous request, and work with event handler and the Doom tree. So, but we'll leave this for the afternoon. So, and then we could basically go there. We could go. So we're going to stick with JavaScript core for now. Have you installed XAMPP or something like that? web server onto your computer? How many? A few of you. Okay. And let's see if I can. Let's see if we could. If we get the time before lunch, I could help you to get XAMPP installed on your computer before lunch, so we have it after lunch. That would be good. So we have a slide and we have XAMPP, and then we have lunch. Questions? No. Okay. How many of you have programmed JavaScript before? So a few of you have done it. So this is the slides I have here, and to basically show how the JavaScript language looks like will be based on JavaScript 5.1 for now. And so that is the 5th edition, they call it. And a few years back, that was the version that all browsers sort of supported. So if you were writing a JavaScript program and you wanted it to work in then Firefox, Safari, Chrome, and whatever, you most likely wanted to stick with JavaScript 5.1. So let's say it's some kind of basic foundation, how the language is set up and so how it's supported. But then something happened. This is like, say, 5 years ago, 6. And, you know, JavaScript is quite popular today, and it sort of took off, let's say, I don't know, 2012, 13, 14, whatever. It eventually turned out that they thought that the ES5 or 5.1, it was basically a small subset, too small to actually use JavaScript in a sort of in a larger set, or as a common programming language for more programmers. It was a sort of a large step to actually get to know JavaScript, and they wrote this language in so many different ways, so you can see JavaScript code. It's not that easy to understand. Maybe it was because many of us going to school and learning programming, we are learned programming in a class-based, object-oriented way of looking at the languages. And JavaScript had another sort of setup. And that made it a bit hard for classic object-oriented programmers to get to know JavaScript, know how it actually worked. So the popularity, since it was a bit sort of rough language, made the standardization organization and people around it wanted to evolve the language. So it turned out that somewhere 2015, it was a large change, and we call it ES6 or ECMAScript 6. So that was a large version change. And I would think that if you want to program JavaScript in a web browser today, I would just say that, yeah, you can do a lot of JavaScript according to ES6 today, and it will most likely be compatible with all the browsers out there. But the code I'm going to show you later on the slides will mainly be 5.1, so it's a bit older. From 2015, the ECMAScript standardization guy said, let's increase the how JavaScript is looking each year. So we got a new standard each year, and it was somehow driven by the browsers, but more driven by the server-side coding of JavaScript. That we'll do on Friday then. Node.js and these programming capabilities they wanted to have on the server side to make it easier to program there. So there are ES6, ES7, and it's ES8, 9, and I think is it ES10 for, I don't know if it's 2020 or 2019. I think it's 2019. They always have this ES.next, and that is sort of a version saying that these are the features we are working on, and we will release them in a later version of the language. So whenever you become a sort of JavaScript programmer, somehow you need to know where does these features fit into, in which version. Can I use them? Can I use them on the server? Most likely. Can I use them on the browser? Maybe. I need to check that up. So I really want to say you should do that. If you are when you are a beginner on JavaScript and you're going to do client side in the web browser programming, I usually say that you should forget this classic object-oriented programming style. You should leave it just for now. So if you know Java or C++ or any other classic object-oriented programming languages, you should sort of set that aside and not try to create the same code structure when you are sort of entering the JavaScript world at the first step. And that is you won't find this sort of class structure in JavaScript when you enter it. I think it's a bit more rougher when you get to the core of JavaScript. And it's a good thing to learn those basics before you start doing it class-based. So, entering JavaScript, leave this class-based, object-oriented coding style a bit behind. We are doing something called prototype-based programming. It's also sort of object-based, but it's not that sort of, it's not equal. You can't compare it in make an equal sign to it with this class-based object-oriented programming. We're doing a lot of asynchronous programming. So we're doing event-driven programming. We're doing callbacks, and we are having functions that are usually set up as a variable. So a variable is equal to a function. And if you're not sort of used to that coding setup, it's a bit change when you walk into the JavaScript environment. One thing they actually dealt with when they introduced ES6, so ES6 is here already, but they introduced classes. And it was mainly, they found it would be easier to get a common object-oriented programmer to enter the JavaScript world if they have this sort of object classes. You can do a class and you can create an object of it. If you find a JavaScript programmer out there who has done JavaScript a long time ago, before ES6, he would say that that is just syntactic sugar on top of the real JavaScript. He would say that. If I would create a JavaScript program now, and if I could use the class concept, yeah, I would most likely use it. It's a very nice way. I really don't need to create sort of another set of or module or use the JavaScript functions in a way I would use otherwise. So I would use classes. Just wanted to sort of make you a bit aware of sort of situation. Okay, so let's have a development environment on the, this is on the browser side then. We'll have the browser console, we'll have the DevTools debugger, and we still can use, if you have, do you have Node installed? Some of you have, yeah. And then we can use the interactive mode in Node just to show off some JavaScript coding. So that could be nice. We'll eventually we'll put up some sample code and we'll try this out. Have you ever used the site code pen? I don't know if I showed it Friday, did I?
No, what exactly is it? Like, is it just a online ID?
Yeah, it's a no. It's a. It looks like this. I can write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then I have it's sort of a browser down here. So it's just to show off or make small code samples. And the idea is basically that when you have made the code samples, you can share it with another person. Look what I did. And get aid in debugging. Or, yeah. I had it set up for Friday if we were going to go here. Sort of, let's have CSS snowfall. So it's also it's also where you can put up samples and sort of try to find, if you want sort of lack of imagination, let's go to CodePen and check out what could I do with my website. Oh, I want to have snow today. Okay. So let's see a code sample on how it works with HTML, CSS, and or JavaScript. It's a library of code samples also then. So there we go. Oops. There we go. Let's have something. We haven't looked at the JavaScript code yet. Yeah, but we will soon. Let's have a look at these sites, because if you want to be a core JavaScript programmer, these resources might be useful. So let's have that first. It's I don't know. Let's see if I can find a rule. Yeah. Have you ever used code formatting or do you code according to a code standard? I take that as a no, maybe.
The idea of using it intelligently and it has its built-in.
Yeah.
Most of us are.
You are using it, but you haven't made a sort of, unintentionally.
Doing a shortcut and everything looks nice.
Looks nice, yeah. Okay. So when we, then we can just have a this is, let's say it like this, and when you work in a group and you write code, you want your code to look the same. So all members write the code exactly the same. So how are we going to write our code? Yeah, then we need a code standard to follow. So we need a rule set. How should we write our code? So it looks the same. And must it look the same? Yes, it must. It is not a question. It is not a debate. whenever we work together, we write the code exactly the same way. Otherwise, it's going to be problems. It's going to be problems when we put up the code on the code versioning system. It looks different. It's harder to read my friend's code. So we just chose a code standard. And so we need it here also. In JavaScript, there would be different code standards out there. So some people say it will be sort of when you sort of do a tab. Some will say that should be 2 spaces. Others say it's 4 spaces. So in JavaScript, the semicolon is optional. So you really don't need to have a semicolon after a construct. And some code standards sort of say we don't use semicolon, and others say we must use semicolon. So it's when we look at JavaScript code, it will look a bit different, but it isn't sort of it is an important decision anyway. When you do it on a larger scale, to select this some kind of code standard. So this was one JavaScript standard style. So it's one suggestion. There are a few more, and they look a bit different. So code standard style, and then to ensure that everybody writes the code the same way, we have these linting tools. So one linting tool for JavaScript would be ESLint, and it sort of assures that we write the code according to these code standard rule sets we are using. And that is also when you are a JavaScript programmer, you have selected your code standard, you have your linting tools, so you have your it's part of a development environment you set up to make it easy to work. So it will not be it for us today, but if you continue doing this, then you should do that. So we're aware of it. Uglify is just sort of minification of the JavaScript programming language. Minification. So, basic structure for JavaScript. Yes, different when we have large or no caps. Semicolon is optional. Comments looks like C++. Well, the whole coding language more or less looks like C++. I would refer to C++ if I said that, if you want to see how the basic coding style is in JavaScript. And you might know how a minified CSS file looks like, or a minified JavaScript file looks like. When we are writing these JavaScript codes, we are you're doing them in the text file, and the text file is loaded in the web browser. And then to make it faster to load, we minify all our JavaScripts. So they are basically written without spaces, tabs, without comments. We remove all unnecessary characters just to sort of compress it a bit. So that is minification. And sometimes it's good to have in your head that this program that I am writing now, perhaps if you forget the semicolon or so, you should have in mind that this program might be minificated. Every space could be removed, and the program should still work the same way. Usually not a problem, but we should have it in our mind. This is not sort of compiled down to a executable binary file. It is this file. It's interpreted by the browser, and it should also work in the same way when I minify it and remove all these spaces and tabs. Just to have it in our back mind. Oh, okay. So let's have a code sample. This is a code sample. Let's, do you think I can, we could review it here, or I could try to, sort of get it up in my browser? Yeah. Let's see. I have a, do I have that? Let's see if we can run it in the browser just to get it going. Oh, I already tried that. So let's remove it then. Delete. Trash. Bygone. Whoops. Let's see. So I'll go to my report page, and I just add JavaScript to play with. Yep. Yeah. I guess so. If you want to turn off the lights. Whoa. Oh! Really? Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, let's see. Yeah, let's stick here. So I have, we are aware of this sort of report website now. And let's stick with about HTML, I think. That is not too far, so we can stay here. And I already have this main.js. It really didn't do much, but it was there for just to show it off. So let's create another file then. Play.js. And copy it all into there, just so we have a playing area. So then I have main, and I have play.js, and I have this about page, HTML style sheet. Okay, I include the JavaScript at the bottom. So I include another JavaScript. I can include a lot of JavaScript here. And when you use, well, depending on the web page, but if I would be very organized of me, I would only include, most likely, one JavaScript file in my web page. So if I have like 10, 15, 20 different files with different JavaScript code, and they all need to be included for my program to work, I would most likely sort of put them together and only include one JavaScript, so it's only one sort of network requests for the web browser to actually download it. And I could sort of minify it. I could also compress it if I'd like to. Yeah.
Does it matter where you put the script tag in the HTML file?
Yeah, yes, no.
Conventional style, but more practical. Does it actually matter?
And so I usually put them at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is not dependent on the rest of the tags.
No, you can put it. We could put it anywhere in the document.
But once I put it in the head, then nothing was working. Like it wasn't working. Then when I put it down there, something started working.
Okay.
Is it
Yeah.
possible that it may not work if it's in the wrong place, or was I messing up this?
I would assume you were messing up because I can do this. I should be able to do this on top or at the bottom.
But inside the head there. I put it where I might put the
it should, yeah, so it should work in the header also. So it depends a bit, but general rule, let's put them at the bottom, because then the browser can load the, depending what we are doing. But for this type of pages, where we have content to be displayed with style sheets, and the JavaScript is not necessary to display the actual page, then we can sort of delay the load of the JavaScript until later, and the browser could actually get the document, the style sheet. It can render the whole page while it continues to loading the JavaScript file. For now, it's going so fast, so we won't be able to see any difference, however. Yeah?
I saw a note on that actually, that you want to load the text first because screen readers use the text, and the screen reader doesn't care about the JavaScript, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you want to always like put it in the last, just for, I don't know what it's called, accessibility.
Accessibility.
Screen readers.
Yeah.
And also that if you have a, like a 404 on the JavaScript or some dependency there, you will still get the text.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to put it at the bottom, but I don't know, I just saw it as a note.
Yeah, no. So that's a good note. So for now, we're putting it at the bottom. There are other pages that sort of this, maybe I said SPA, single page application pages, that, so they won't display anything until the JavaScript is loaded. So there it really doesn't care. The JavaScript needs to be loaded before anything can happen. So there it doesn't matter. So depends a bit on the page. So I'll have this play.js, and I have this play.js. Did I save it? You can see it. Let's plus it. Okay. And let's go and see if we can just reload it. Yeah, let's leave this slideshow for a while. Oops. Do I have it here? Yes. Seems like I did something with it. So I'll reload it. I do like this. So here we start. So web page looks the same. I just reloaded it. I put it in the about HTML. So let's see what is actually loaded. So we go into inspect element then. Let's make this a bit larger for now. So we were here Friday, right? HTML is generated. The style sheets is there. Here is the head, the body. Here's the script tags at the bottom. Yeah, nothing to see. Let's see the network. We always would like to see. Hello. Good eye. Hello.
You're local, right? Does it need a network?
No, but I still want to see my. I still would like to see my. Why? You don't think I'll do that? Network. Why didn't I see it? So, okay. I just wanted to see that the page now, it consists of about HTML, it's the style sheets, it's the main.js, it's the play.js, and it's the fav icon that is also retrieved. So that is the basic setup of this now. So I think I'll move back to Firefox for now, despite it's didn't like to show off this. So this is what happens. What happens if I reload the page? Okay, same thing, same output. So this is a console in the web browser where you get some debug information out here. You could also get errors if something happens, and it's mainly related to your JavaScript code that comes out here. So whenever you do a console.log, it will sort of show off here. So it's basically a way to, when you are done, you shouldn't put out any information here. So it should be clean. But when you are in development sort of mode, you could put it out here just to see that it's working and what's actually happening. So let's have our program. See how it works. What did we put out there? Some basic constructs. So we have a, let's see if this change. I always have this. I don't know why I don't use it in the use strict. Is it like this or this? There, I think. Oops.
What does that really do, though?
It's, you usually see it on top of on a file like this, and it's basically saying it's dated a few years back, when before all these sort of ES6, 7, 8, 9 was sort of moving on, sort of pre-2015. But it was a way to say that I want to use a bit more strict programming in JavaScript. JavaScript is a very loose language. And there were some constructs there, the sort of standardization organization and programmers thought, oh, it's really strange behavior. So then to be a bit more firmer, a bit more throw errors when something happened and just don't sort of proceed moving on. So it's a bit stricter error handling dealt with the language. So that's why we put it up there. Use strict. And
it also means you can use the initialized variables, right?
Pause. I can pause on questions. Yeah. So if I would like to look up exactly what it would do for me, how it sort of strengthens up how I should code my JavaScript programming, I need to go back to the manual to actually see it. I just use it for now. So we have it there. We have comments, we have one-line comments, we have variable declarations. We could also do variable declarations like var1 equals 1, and we could do var.2 equals 2 and something like that. So that is also one way we see how variables are declared. Then we can have a look at this if statements. Yeah, looks more a bit the I would say it looks like C++. It looks like PHP. What would you relate it to? Does it look like Java? Kind of? Yeah. But you have these in Java. Yeah. Then I guess it looks more or less like Java. So we have two if statements. Do you have a short? Yes, you have a short syntax for an if statement in yeah. Yep. Of course you have. Something like that. Short ternary operator, it's called in, what is it? PHP. Short if statement. We have a while loop. We have a for loop.
You don't need the semicolons, right?
Yeah, I always use semicolons. I don't know how. I'm not sure that you could. When I said you could omit the semicolons, that was basically there because that would be the JavaScript parser would know that, well, this is the end of one statement and I could expect the next statement. In this, I don't think the parser could actually parse this. It can't, so the whole statement in this case would more or less be like sort of this setup. So no. Nope. So we have a basic for loop, and we have a function, and we are calling that function, and we are just writing it out. Okay? And if I just want to add something at the bottom, console.log, help me out. I could do that. I always use semicolon. For me, it hurts a bit when I don't use semicolon, even though I could leave it out. But so you just need to choose your own strategy there. Okay, and let's have a look here. We'll I see the clock is 11. Let's continue like we started a bit late. Let's continue like 10 minutes more. Is that fine? And then we take a break. Okay. So we have a debugger here also. So for I usually do a lot of debugging when I can with just console.log, putting out information about what variables are and where I am in the sort of call structure and so that works for me. If I, for some reason, needs a bit more advanced debugging tool, then I could have the I could use the debugger. So all the JavaScript loaded is available in the debugger, and I guess I could be able to sort of add a breakpoint. Add a breakpoint there. Yeah. So let's see if I can add these breakpoints. Could I also maybe I could reload the program. So I reloaded it all, and sort of the debugger stops at my breakpoint. Have you using debuggers?
Yep.
Yeah.
In Java.
In Java, all of you. Yeah. Then you know how the debugger works. So we can we can do stepping away. We can see the contents of the variables. Check them out. So it's a standard debugger tool that is most handy and useful when you're doing with a bit more advanced client-side programming or callbacks, and so it's very useful when you want to do debugging. And debugger, let's remove those. Remove it, go back there, and we do debugger, play it, and there we go. So here we have it. Let's see. Let's go to my let's check out some of these slides. Let's see how fast we can go. Okay, we tried integrate a sample into the report website, and we tried DevTools with the debugger. We haven't tried node running it on the terminal. If you fancy this kind of sort of try it out, I find it very nice for those programming languages that could give me an interactive coding prompt like this when I want to sort of check up the basic constructs of JavaScript. So if I have A equals 12, okay, 12. B equals A dot 30, 42, so, and I could just print out B is then 42. I could do console.log of B, but it's a long way of just writing out what it's actually is. I can do a JavaScript has this small building stones. So let's check a few of those. We have 42. Well, that would be a number, integer, we would say. 42.2. So that will also be sort of a float number. If I add, what do you call them? Quotation marks. So if you have double quotation marks, or if you have single ones, it will all look like a string. So basically what we are sort of acquainted to with any programming languages. We also have true or false that would evolve to a Boolean sort of literal. And if we want to check out these, we could do type of. I like to do this just to try to understand the sort of how is the language built up, the basic structure. So if I add type of, so there are types in JavaScript. And type of 42 is a number. 42.5, it's still a number. So we have strings, and we have numbers, and this is also another string. So these are basic types. Do we have more? We have false, should be Boolean. We have also something that's called null. Sure, we have null. But what is that? Oops, it's an object. So null is so setting a variable to null usually says that it is initiated, but it doesn't have a value yet. So I intentionally gave it a null value. Sometimes I don't think I can use an it is not defined. So let's leave that. So we have type of null, and there is also, I think there is, let's see, undefined. Undefined, what is that? Oops, we have a type undefined also. So we have basic types, string, number, Boolean, and there's null and undefined. Just leave that for now. Okay? What we have more? We have type of. This is a basic, oops. This square bracket, it's an array. So we could check up what the type of the array would be like. It's an object. Okay? And we could have, this is a regular expression. JavaScript is a programming language where they have a sort of literal for writing a regular expression. So we have a slash and the regular expression in it, and then we have a slash. So let's see what that is. So it's also an object. Let's have a, let's use the object literal, curly brackets, and let's see if that could also be, it's also an object. So if we just stick with the basic building stones of the JavaScript language, we have strings, numbers, booleans, and we have some more sort of composite data types, or a bit more advanced data types, like array, the object, and they all sort of says, I'm an object, so object type. And then we have function. And then we have function. So this is sort of a, they usually say that this is first, JavaScript is a programming language that can deal with first-class functions. But you got that in Java also now more, and so the majority of the main programming languages can be dealt like that. So we can actually write a complete function as a small statement. So let's have 10 minutes breaks, and we'll leave it with this for now, and then we'll move on and see how JavaScript global objects can be used to work with this.
Hur överskrider man en CSS whatever, variabel, nej inte variabel, men förstår jag med. Regel, tack. För att just nu är den gul, just den här länkregeln. Men jag la till en klass på just de här två länkarna, men den har inte